Our new chapter heading is Complex Invertebrates. Complex Invertebrates, and we're going to be talking about mollusks today. Phylum Mollusca. Phylum Mollusca. Some examples, I'd probably put those down. Snails, oysters, squid, octopus, these are all examples of mollusks. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause. Characteristics, invertebrates. That shouldn't be shocking. No backbone, soft bodies. They're not going to have a lot of hard, bony type structures in them. I would probably put this all down. They usually have a shell for protection. A lot of them have a shell for protection produced by the mantle. Okay, it's a part of them that kind of oozes this stuff out and then it hardens and creates a shell. So most of them have a hard shell. They can be found on land, saltwater, and freshwater. Basically, you can find them anywhere. Most of the time, it's wet areas. They have a muscular foot for movement. This little thing right here would be called a foot. That kind of helps pull them along. They have gills to take in oxygen. So instead of lungs, they have gills. Most have an open circulatory system, which means that no veins, vessels, arteries, tubes. An open circulatory system means that the blood, instead of being in vessels and veins like we have, the blood kind of just sloshes around. A lot of simple animals have this, an open circulatory system. This is not very efficient. Okay, if you notice, most of these things, like a snail, for instance, is not known for speed. Okay, well, it's hard to be fast when you're not getting blood to all your areas very well. Okay, if you want to move fast, you need to get blood pumped to all areas, and that's just not the case with these guys. They have an open circulatory system. I compare that to plants being non-vascular. No vessels, no tubes, no veins. It's the same exact thing, only with animals. Write down three classes of mollusks. 3 classes of mollusks. The first one, univalves. This is the biggest class of mollusks. There are the most types in this. Uni means one. You'd ride a unicycle, it has one wheel. Valve means shell. So it has one shell, univalves. I'd probably write these down as well. Have one shell, eyes on the tips of tentacles, and what they call a radula, which is a tongue-like structure used for eating. Kind of slurps things up. Then the second group, bivalves. Bi, if you have a bicycle, that means you have 2 wheels. So we have 2 shells. Valves is shells. So 2-shelled mollusks. 2 shells, filter feeders, things like clams, oysters. They have a soft body covered by a shell, protected by a shell. If you've ever been at a lake, this happened to me before. I'm in the lake and I step on something hard and I reach down in the water to pick it up, and it's one of those like mud clams, or I'm not sure what you call them, but they're impossible to pry open. Okay, you always try to pry them open with a stick or something. You can't do it without breaking them. There's a soft-bodied critter inside the shell. I'd probably write down a couple of these examples at least. Clams, oysters, cement themselves to stuff. Maybe you've eaten oysters. My wife's family for Christmas always makes oyster stew, which they take the soft oyster out of the shell and they float around in soup. Scallops, kind of similar, open and close. So clams, oysters, scallops. There's a problem in the South Dakota lakes. I don't think it's just South Dakota, but zebra clams, which people will transport from boat to boat. So if you go in one lake, a couple of them will end up on your boat, and then you go to the next lake and you'll drop them off basically, and they spread and they're invasive and they kind of mess up the ecosystems. I know you're supposed to like rinse off your boat when you're done, so that way they don't go anywhere. The third group of mollusks is cephalopods. Cephalopods. Characteristics: they have tentacles with strong suckers. You're probably familiar with the little suction cups that they have on their legs that help them grab things, climb on things. A large head. The head is actually the body. Okay, when you look at like an octopus or squid, it looks like a head with tentacles. That's actually the body. They have a closed circulatory system. So squid, octopus have a closed circulatory system. They have veins, vessels, arteries, blood enclosed in that. You'll notice that like octopus, squid are a lot faster than like snails and clams and stuff because their blood gets where it needs to go more efficiently. I'd write this down. They can use jet propulsion. Basically, they suck in water and then shoot it out, and it pushes them forward. I know there's some water toys that are like that at the pool. And they can also kind of creep along slowly, grabbing with their tentacles. So they can move in some different ways. Call that good.